Hello, my name is Edie Bramblett. It is roughly 9:30 a.m., April 19th, 2022, Monday morning. This is my morning off. Well, every other week it's my morning off. And then every other week, I have my 3-year-old. So normally I'll be recording these on Monday, but not so early. Maybe more around noon. But since I do not have my 3-year-old today, I was able to just wake up, have my coffee, set up, and what a setup it is. This is my first video. I am sitting on the floor. There is YouTube playing behind me. I'm wearing my headphones because I like to hear the recording to make sure I'm not going too hard. Anyways, this is a tarot astrology reading. I'm going to pull 5 cards, one from each of these decks here. I'm going to start by placing a card on Taurus because Taurus season is coming. If you follow the tropical calendar, then I'm going to go around and put a card on each of the fixed signs. So Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. I'm an Aquarius. And then I will put the goddess oracle right here in the middle. That's how we'll end. Ultimately, I want to be doing 17 card spreads for YouTube, but seeing as this is my first video I've made in 5 years, and there's going to be a big learning curve in editing this video and getting it onto YouTube. So I just want to keep it kind of short. Anyways, I think we should get started. We'll start with the Mythic Tarot. This is a book by Juliet, Sherman-Burke, and Liz Green. The cards are illustrated by Trisha Newell. So essentially, I will draw a card and then read from its corresponding text. I don't really, personally, I can't do a tarot reading and derive intuitive information in the moment as I'm doing the reading. My brain filters information very slowly. So if you wanted to watch me sit here and think for 10 minutes after drawing a card and then having something to say after 10 minutes of silence, probably. Sorry, it's not going to happen. I'm just going to read. This is intended to be almost like in the background of whatever you're doing. I love to record my voice. I'm wanting to practice recording it more and toning it and training it to be less fucking masculine, I suppose. It's a long process. But anyways, I think we should get started now. The Mythic Tarot. Got one. Judgment. On Taurus. Okay. I also don't do reversals. I think that there's so much to memorize or internalize in the cards themselves. It's kind of unimaginable for me to also figure out what a reversal of a card means. It's just double the work for me. I'd rather just focus on what each card represents and embrace the positives and negatives. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to read from this now. Judgment. It's one of my favorite cards. It reminds me of my child. Should be the last one, yeah. Okay. The card of Judgment portrays a young man with curling black hair, dressed in a white tunic and a blood-red traveling cloak. On his head is a winged helmet, and his feet are shod in winged sandals. In his right hand he holds the caduceus, the staff of magic entwined with two snakes. On either side of him, dimly visible, are two columns, one black and one white. The stairs on which he stands ascend to a doorway through which can be glimpsed a rich green landscape over which the sun is just rising. Oh yeah, this is just YouTube. I don't pay for premium, so you're going to get some ads. Enjoy those. The stairs on which he stands ascend to a doorway through which can be glimpsed a rich green landscape over which the sun is just rising. Before him, several carved coffins lie, and from these sarcophagi the dead are rising, reaching out to him as they shrug off their burial shrouds. So that's the description of the card. And this is the meaning. It's pretty long, but that's why we're here. You're here to listen to me read, ultimately. So here, as we approach the end of the cycle of the major arcana, we meet that god whom we encountered at the beginning, Hermes the psychopomp, guide of souls. In the card of the magician, Hermes appears as the fool's inner guide at the beginning of the journey of life, a trickster, a protector of lost travelers, and a magus who can point the way through the uncanny intuitions, which in myth the god was said to dispense. Now he is revealed as a powerful underworld deity, emissary of Hades, who summons the dying gently and eloquently by laying his golden staff upon their eyes. But Hermes could also summon the souls of the dead back to life, as well as ushering them into Hades' realm. In myth, when Tantalos, the king of Lydia, cut his own son in pieces and served them as a feast for the gods, Hermes reassembled the pieces and restored the young man to life. As herald of the heavenly gods, Hermes also freed heroes such as Theseus, who had entered Hades' realm illicitly and then got stuck there. He also guided Orpheus into the Dark Kingdom to seek his lost wife Eurydice, and guided him out again when he had lost her for a second time. Thus Hermes of the card of Judgment is not only Hermes the guide, but Hermes the summoner, who leads the souls of the dead to their accounting and prepares them for renewed life. On an inner level, Hermes the psychopomp is an image of a process which occurs at certain critical moments in life, a summing up, when the experiences of the past are gathered together and seen as part of an intelligent pattern, and the consequences of these experiences must be understood and accepted. This process of summing up is not an intellectual function, but rather a kind of cooking that occurs in the underworld of the unconscious. It is a call for the dead to rise, for the many and varied actions and decisions we perform to knit together and yield a harvest. The artist experiences this process when, after many hours or weeks or even years of attempting to formulate, research, practice technique, and give shape to an elusive idea or image, something at last happens and a new creative work is born. This same process can be seen in psychotherapy, where an individual can struggle for many months with the disconnected memories and feelings of the past and present, stuck and blocked, and suddenly a kind of cohesion occurs, and one's life pattern makes sense at last. This process can occur in any realm of life, where we tunnel blind as moles, pouring effort into something which remains somehow elusive, and at last the effort is rewarded, and there is a synthesis and a new development at hand. This is Hermes at his most magical, revealed at last as the true lord of the entirety of the fool's journey, knitting together through some mysterious process of the intuition the experiences and insights gained from each stage of the journey, and magically blending these to form the beginnings of a new and larger personality. Thus, the figure of Hermes, leading the dead souls to judgment, embodies a process of birth. It is the birth of a more complete personality, which arises in a non-rational way from the combined experiences of the past, fused by insight in the sense that apparently random events and choices are really secretly connected. The judge of the dead decides what future has been earned from past efforts, and it is on the efforts of the past cards that the fool's future is built. The card of judgment symbolizes the rewards for efforts made, although the judge is inside us, not outside in the world. We pay also for our sins of unconsciousness and reap the harvest of refusing to take up responsibility for our own choices at each stage of the journey. Judgment is an image, not just of a new beginning, but a beginning which emerges out of the past. In Eastern philosophy, this is called karma. Each person sows seed in his own field, and ultimately must reap the harvest which springs from his own sowing. Although Hermes is often portrayed as a cheat and a liar, here as psychopomp, he does not permit the soul to lie. Everything must be accounted for, and the fool meets at last the consequences of all his choices in life. On a divinatory level, the card of judgment, when it appears in a spread, augurs a time when the rewards of past efforts appear. This is a period of summing up, of a realization of what we have been doing and where we ourselves have created the future which now awaits us. It is an ambiguous card, for it can also imply a disturbing confrontation with all our own evasions and self-betrayals. The reward is not always a pleasant one. The fool must now answer for his journey, for the time of harvest has arrived, and the mistakes and creative efforts of the past are gathered together to form the future. Whatever occurs to the individual in terms of experiences, the card of judgment heralds the end of a chapter in life. But unlike the card of the dead, it does not imply mourning. Rather, it is a clear perception of the extent to which we have been able to be true to ourselves. I love her writing. Okay. Moving on to Leo. We'll be using the Smith-Waite Borderless Edition. These are sexy cards. This is the first deck I ever bought. Mm. Nope. Nope. The Chariot on Leo. Did you get that? I'll be reading from Tarot for Change by Jessica Dore. Jessica Dore is absolutely brilliant. If you have not heard of her, her work, the work that she's doing is astonishing. Truly. I have to get rid of the sleeve. I fucking hate sleeves. Alright, Chariot. Obviously a very different tone than the book we just read. The Chariot. I feel like I'm constantly doing damage control with people I work around, unlearning the myth of willpower as some sort of magic pill or panacea. Is that how you say that? I grew up with an Italian-American father and watched a lot of Rocky movies as a kid, so I get it. I, too, have wanted to believe that with hard work and elbow grease, I could have what I wanted. Robert Bly wrote, "Always cry for what you want," and I took that to heart. But what I didn't do, and what no one around me seemed to be doing either, was spend time learning to manage what happens when life tells you no. I'm not knocking willpower. It's a really perfect tool for certain challenges, like external ones, where you have some amount of control over outcomes, such as passing a test or training to run a race. But willpower is not so helpful when it comes to internal challenges, like social anxiety or grief. In fact, the way willpower usually manifests in those kinds of cases is through the exertion of efforts to push away or dull the feelings you don't want. And that gets ugly fast. Willpower can take us only so far, and when we hit that limit, it can feel as though the vehicle we were driving doesn't work anymore. The wheels spin and we don't move. We're not sure how to get out, and even if we were, we have no other modes of transportation. We'd walk, but our legs are set inside 2 tons of cement. The obstacle course of achievement under capitalism isn't built to teach pathfinding. It's built to teach compliance with a preset path. To an extent, you do get to pick your own adventure, but you'll be told what you need to do to get the prize, as well as what the price is or ought to be. Life isn't some obstacle course that you're meant to muscle your way through, with rows of neatly arranged blocks and barricades. It's just that this particular environment has trained us to think that it is, or that it should be. Where willpower may have worked well for you to get through the obstacle course of your schooling, not for me, or the career path you chose, before you had any idea your life wasn't just an extension clipped onto someone else's definition of success. The moment you decide you want to do something different with your life is the moment you realize you're going to need a new set of skills, ones for navigation and wayfinding. In dialectical behavior therapy, there's a thing called willfulness. Oh shit. My girl JK, my best friend. In dialectical behavior therapy, there's a thing called willfulness, which is similar to willpower, but generally considered a liability. Willfulness is when you impose your will on reality, which is fine in some cases, but harmful when reality simply cannot be what you want. We're given many stories from the time we're young about the value of willpower and pushing through obstacles, but we're not given stories about what happens when we hit concrete walls, when we do not get what we want, no matter how loud we cry, and when willpower is the wrong skill for the circumstance. We aren't really set up to fail well. Rather, we're indoctrinated with the value of persevering and refusing to take no for an answer. But life is both yeses and nos. We don't get what we want all the time. It sounds juvenile and so obvious, and yet so many of us really struggle with accepting that. And sometimes, and this is something I've always thought about with the chariot, which is popularly read as a card about success, but depicts a man with his legs cemented into a vehicle. We do get what we thought we wanted, only to realize it's a trap, and now we feel hopelessly stuck. Then what? The chariot has never said much to me about the then what. I think its medicine is more in the way it reveals the limitations of willpower and the dangers of believing life is simply a series of completing difficult tasks, and yoking wild bulls so they'll do what we want them to do. That just isn't at all what this is. I wish we'd tell more than only the stories where we struggle and then get what we want, as if always getting what we want were the point of life. How silly. What's going on back here? Video paused. Continue watching. Absolutely, I want to continue watching. I'm watching so hard. Yeah, baby. It's pretty cool, though. What is this video? It's just playing all sorts of shit. I like this one. It's just gonna stay chill. Lord have mercy. I'm still workshopping the what goes on the TV while I'm doing this. As you can see. Obviously I don't want ads playing in the background of every video I make. I have like 2 more sentences left. Yes, willpower can carry you to many places, but make no mistake, stuckness is one of them. Now, I will be drawing on Scorpio with the Minchiate. This is the book written by Brian Williams. This deck is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I could go into what Minchiate Tarot is, but you could also just Google it. It does include astrology. There's a card for each sign. There's a card for each element. And there are some variations on themes we find in the traditional tarot, but either have a different name or symbol. The illustrations are just absolutely beautiful. I love to draw this on the water sign, Scorpio. It's very Scorpio to me. I love all of my fixed signs. Virgo on Scorpio. Virgo. Now this book doesn't delve much into divination so much as he really just nerds out for the most part in this book. It's actually quite lovely, but this probably won't have very much. And now like he talks about like the original wood carvings of the cards. And honestly, I'm going to get a scanner and scan these pages so you can see what is happening in here. It's very interesting, but I can't speak it to you in this format. I'll just read this whole thing and you'll see what I'm talking about. The second Minchiate zodiac card is Virgo, a feminine and mutable sign of Earth. In our image, she is a standing young woman who holds a palm branch. The woodcut Minchiate has wings and is flanked by distant cypresses. The Salone Virgo holds an indistinct object, perhaps her customary bloom or sprig of wheat. So he's talking about a different card, a different version of the card. The sprig is known to stargazers as Spica, the only bright star in constellation Virgo. In classical myth, Virgo was sometimes Erigone, daughter of Icarus, who killed herself in grief at her father's death. When Arachne weaves her miraculous images of the loves of the gods, Ovid describes one scene thus. There Bacchus, imaged like the clustering grape, melting beddrops Arigone's fair lap. From Metamorphoses, Book 7. Like, okay. All right, dog. A better fit, perhaps, is the story of the divine star maiden Astraea, who bestowed her blessings on humankind during Saturn's happy reign, as described in Virgil's fourth Eclogue. The gods rewarded her sweetness by placing her in the night sky as Virgo. This myth gives a possible meaning to the star card in the traditional tarot, which shows a benevolent female figure pouring out her vessel of blessings into a body of water at her feet. The palm branch of the Minchiate Virgo appears often in portrayals of the virgin martyrs, such as Catherine of Alexandria. Virgo rules the month preceding the constellation Libra, but there appears to be no pattern to the Minchiate order, certainly no order that corresponds to the path of the sun across the sky. Virgo is the day house of Mercury. And then there's a little bit of divinatory meaning. The card of Virgo, like those born under the sign, may be characterized as punctilious, exacting, intelligent, and honorable. Is that how you say it, punctilious? The influence of Virgo may be one that is overly exacting, cautious, or reserved, but she also brings the open-hearted blessings of the star maiden, Astraea. On Aquarius, we'll be pulling from my Aquarian tarot deck. Also stunning. I'll be reading from the little pamphlet that came in the box. Very short. I think it's a great way to round out the reading. As you can see, it's pretty abstract. Making sense of it requires writing, journaling, which I will do later. You guys don't need to see that. I'd like you to hear this. Got one. 6 of Cups. That's a beautiful card. Here we are. Reflection on the past, things that have vanished, may indicate desire for change. And the last card we draw in the middle is from The Goddess Oracle by Sophia Marashinsky. I like to do this one last, always. This is my favorite deck. Each goddess comes with a sort of, you could call it an invocation or a poem or a lyric, whatever you want to call it. I love reading it. Shout out to Helen, my friend Helen, a Gemini. Back when I got this deck, I drew one every day and sent her a voice memo of the poems each day. It's one of my first forays into what I'm doing now in this moment. Shakti. That's very fitting. This is a good reading. Shakti. Energy. I am the ultimate source, dancing through all forms. I am the animating force, vibrating the world into being. I activate, invigorate, potentiate. Let me fill you with cosmic ecstasy. Let me reconnect you, recharge you, renew you. I am the sweet bliss honey nectar that snakes up your spine, connecting all your chakras into one big orgasmic orgy of power, vitality, and then in all caps with an exclamation point, energy. And they give you a little mythology and the meaning. I like to read that too. In Hindu India, Shakti, the goddess, is active, powerful, vital, the animating force of the universe. The masculine is the passive, inert, dormant force. Each Shakti has her god with whom she unites in sexual union. Without union, they're vacuuming upstairs, of course. Without union, neither can do anything. To the tantric mystics, the ultimate union with Shakti happens at the moment of death. Shakti, portrayed here seated within the luminous world egg, is protected by the serpent Kundalini, the emanation of her own divine energy. Meaning of the card: Shakti explodes into your life to energize and vitalize you. The way to wholeness for you now lies in learning to work with Shakti, divine, cosmic, orgasmic goddess energy. Have you been feeling tired? Do life and all its demands exhaust you? Do you keep giving your energy, your vitality, without taking in, recharging, revitalizing? Perhaps there is something you want to manifest, but don't feel you have the energy to do it. Shakti says there is abundant energy available for you. All you need to do is learn how to connect with it. And that is the reading. I think I'll This was fun. I'm going to go now. My child is going to be here in about 15 minutes. They're vacuuming upstairs. I have plenty to work with. Hopefully I will post this on YouTube in 2 to 3 business days. I have a Patreon that I think you should subscribe to if you like these videos and want me to keep making them. I will keep making them either way, because they're for me. And they're for you too. I'm gonna light some, where is that? gardenia incense. Call it a video here. Do it right here for you. Whoop. Now I get to see if all of my cameras recorded properly and if my mic recorded properly. Thank you for watching. I'll be back.